I want to ask you before I let you go about True Detective.
Yeah.
And how mind-blowing it was. When you first got a script, how long did you have to soak in these soliloquies and these monologues?
Yeah.
How long what was that process?
Well, they came to me first for the role of Marty that Woody played.
Ah.
All right. And I looked at it and I understood why they came to me for that. But I went back and I said, you know what? The guy I cannot wait to hear what comes out of his mouth is this Rustin Cole guy. He's just arresting me every time I read something that comes out of his mouth. So I spent the creator, Nick Pizzolatto, who wrote it, I spent months and every single weekend going over these soliloquies. There, the interrogation room?
Mm-hmm.
We shot that in a day.
Oh.
28 pages. And I just had to amalgamize it into huge, just had 7 different bubbles. And what I do is I break it down. I used to do this in school. Just get to know understand the dialogue first, then I break it down to one sentence would trigger an entire thought that I would go off, and then I break it down to a word. So I'd have these pods, and I'd have like 8 words, and then break the word down to a letter, and I have 8 letters, and each letter sent me off into a 5-minute run-on, and then I'd get to the next one and connect the dots. And I remember that day we were in there for about 18 hours, and we had shot about 24 pages. They were like, everybody, we are wiped. Can we go home? And I was like, no, we're not going home. I'm finishing this. I'm in the belly of the beast. We're going to finish this now. They all stayed on, and we finished it late that night.
And where did the making little figurines out of pieces of the tin can come in?
He wrote that.
Okay.
That was written.
No, are you just somebody from?
Well, I'm cutting them over there, but then
somebody puts
when we cut over there, here they come back, and then you cut back to me, and of course I'm owning it like I've just finished the last.
You just honed it perfectly, like in arts and crafts.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you were taking it in to assimilate it, though, what did you think of this writing that was coming your way, and that you were now able to, as an actor?
Well, it's great
do what
writing.
You did with
the writing's so good, I didn't feel like I had to act, so to speak. Rustin Cole was never soliciting someone to try and talk him into something. Mm-hmm. That was part of what was great about him. He was on an island. Feel sorry for you if you're living in his head. I mean, geez, oh man, what was going on in that man's head? But just to deliver it truthfully and actually look at the stuff and go, and I am a believer, but to look at that stuff and go, geez, man, he's got a point. Maybe that is true. Maybe it is all a flat circle. You know what I mean? So just to own it, deliver it as a hard truth, that understanding that these people may not understand it, that he's talking to the interrogators. And, what he's doing, he's interrogating them, as you know, by watching it. And so it was just great dialogue and made it, I didn't have to try to do too much or throw much lagniappe on it.
And would you ever consider going back to see what is going on in the life of Russ Cole?
Yeah, I would. I miss Russ Cole, man. I miss watching him on Sunday nights. I miss watching True Detective on Sunday nights.
Me too.
And I miss. I was a happy man while we made that for 6 months, because I was on my own island, and luckily my wife put up with me. And she said I was actually pretty nice when I came home. But yeah, I would. I've talked to Nick about it. It would have to be the right context, the right way. That thing, when I read it, I knew in 20 minutes. I was like, if I can play this guy, Rustin Cole, I'm in. So the thought of me going, people have said, well, what about you going from the big screen to the small screen? That used to be a little more of a sort of taboo kind of idea to do. Not anymore. Plus, if it's great quality, you're actually getting better quality dramas on the small screen today than you ever have been. A lot better than you get on big screen sometimes.
Well, I mean, you could also get into a character over 10 episodes that you couldn't get in
it was
2 hours.
450-page script. My biggest challenge with that was, remember the first 3 episodes, Rustin Cole's pretty subdued, but you see, things are boiling underneath,
something's
right?
Going on. Yes.
So I actually, 450-page script, I had to do that for whatever 160 pages, and I started to think after about 6 weeks, is what I'm doing boring? Is it flat? And I wanted to sort of jazz it up a little bit, and I said, no, McConaughey, have patience. You're about to become, Rustin Cole when he goes off the rails and gets back in the game and starts, going after the bikers. Trust that when you get that extroverted and that wild, that dynamic of you slowly boiling underneath right now will work, and I think it did.
And knowing the character, do you think he's a sports fan? Rust?
Rust and Cole?
What do you sit around and watch the Super Bowl? What do you sit around and watch the golf? Like, what do you think? Just knowing the character. Would he sit there in the 50-yard line and root against the Cowboys?
No, Rustin
like
Cole
you?
might have a little. He probably enjoyed listening to Joe Morgan on Sunday Night Baseball in the background because it kind of kept a nice low-level pulse across the room.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.